Story 1. I, 31 female, have an older sister, Mary, 33. Mary has always been the favorite. Growing up, my parents idolized her because of her looks, grades, she was athletic, and more. She is described as my parents' golden apple baby. I, on the other hand, was born 2 years later. It was an accident. I was born prematurely with a heart condition. Growing up, I was in and out of the hospital receiving countless surgeries. My parents always threw in my face that I was draining their money, even though my grandparents always paid for anything insurance didn't cover. She never hid her hatred towards me. She'd constantly bully me, and my parents did nothing about it. When I graduated high school, I had enough. I begged my grandparents to pay for me to go to a college several states away to get away from her. That was the best decision ever because that's where I met my now husband, Greg. Greg was a sweetheart. He always made me feel beautiful no matter what size I was. After graduating, we got married, which his family paid for because my parents refused, stating they spent too much on my sister's wedding a year prior. They didn't even bother to attend the wedding. We ended up choosing to live in the city we graduated in. I rarely talked to my family back home outside of my grandparents. Greg and I had a son together. This was a high-risk pregnancy, and I was advised to terminate early on as the results could be fatal. Luckily, we both made it. I almost didn't, though. The amount of strain it put on my heart was detrimental. Doctors strongly urged me not to have any more children, and we agreed. Fast forward to about 1 month ago, my family and I moved back to my hometown after my grandpa's health was declining, and I wanted to be near him. When I moved back, my parents and sister started acting very nice to me. My mom would ask me how I was doing and tell me how proud she was of me, which is something she never does. My sister would join and do the same. I knew something was up, but my grandmother said to give them a chance and maybe they miss me. 2 weeks later, I was invited to my parents' house for a family dinner. While at the table, my sister said she had a present for me. She whipped out a card, and I opened it, expecting it to be an apology letter. But no, to my surprise, it was a letter stating that my sister found out she was infertile and congratulating me on becoming her future baby's carrier. I was floored. I told her that I couldn't have her baby. I tried to explain what my pregnancy did to my body with my heart, and she started crying. My parents began screaming at me for being selfish and not wanting to help out my sister. I explained that the doctors instructed me no, but they said, for family you take risks. I couldn't believe it. I grabbed my husband and stormed out. He's still shocked. However, I can't help but feel bad still. So am I the idiot for not wanting to help my infertile sister, risking my health in the process? Honey, absolutely not the idiot, and what the heck? Even without the backstory, you are not the problem here. I'd never speak to them again personally. I'm so sorry you've had to deal with so much. And what's worse, they didn't even ask. The card was just breathtaking. They told her that she was the one. The audacity, like I know I've been rude to you your whole life, but now you can carry my baby, even though it will seriously hurt you. Even if pregnancy was super easy, breezy, and your favorite activity, you're never under any obligation to do it for anyone. And in a letter congratulating her as if she'd won an award, or she has the honor to have her child. For family, you take risks. Some families are just pure evil. Not only was your family of origin truly awful to you growing up, but rather than taking any responsibility for their atrocious behavior or showing any insight or self-awareness, they deliberately manipulated you and the situation for their own benefit. Your family is awful to risk your health for the golden child's gain. Go no contact and keep them away from your family, especially your child. Yeah, I have no idea why she still spoke to them at all in the first place. Like, take the hint already. They are garbage human beings. Stop letting them screw with you. If you can't cut them out because it's your best interest, then cut them out for your child's sake. They don't deserve to know the child, nor does the child deserve to have such trash in its life. I, 30 male, was married to my ex-wife Claire, 28, for 4 years until I found out she'd been cheating on me with an ex-boyfriend. Needless to say, the marriage ended and we got divorced about 8 months ago. During the divorce proceedings, I learned that Claire's younger sister, Cindy, 20, had known about the affair but chose to keep quiet about it and help Claire hide the affair from me and her family. Before all of this, I'd promised to pay for Cindy's medical school costs as my family and I are wealthy. Despite the divorce, I decided I would pay for her education as, at the time, I felt I didn't need to punish Cindy for whatever her sister did. However, as I said before, it was during the divorce proceedings that I found out about what Cindy did. Once I found out that Cindy was complicit in hiding Claire's infidelity, I felt betrayed and decided to revoke my offer. I told Cindy 8 months back that she should look for a loan or other funding, and I wouldn't fund her anymore. I'd already paid for 1 semester. Recently, when I received an email from the college regarding the upcoming semester fees, I informed them that they should direct any further inquiries to Cindy, as I would no longer be funding her education. Cindy called me, screaming and crying and accusing me of being cruel and heartless for cutting her off. She says that her family couldn't afford the tuition without my support, and she would have to take out a loan. I told her she was not my concern anymore and I blocked her. When her father contacted me, he was calmer, asking if there was any possibility of reversing my decision. I stood firm and said that I had no intention of continuing to support Cindy financially. He says he understands and will try to make Cindy understand too. For context, he was very good to me during my marriage and offered me support when I told him I would divorce Claire. The decision has caused a rift among my friends and family. While most support my decision, some have criticized me for not honoring my previous promise to Cindy. Even my mother urges me to reconsider, citing my past promise that paying for Cindy's education wouldn't be a financial issue for me. However, my father stands by me, agreeing with my decision. Truthfully, I have the means to pay for Cindy's entire medical school education without difficulty, but I can't shake the feeling of betrayal caused by Claire's cheating and Cindy's complicity. But I feel conflicted. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your friends can pay for Cindy if they feel so strongly about her education. What Cindy did was not the act of a friend. She helped destroy your marriage and supported your ex-wife's infidelity. She chose her side and turned her back on you so you can oblige her by withdrawing your promise to pay. She should ask her cheating sister to pay for the education. You were helping her out of kindness, yet she could not repay that to you. The ex-boyfriend could pay, as he was more important to Cindy than the op. Cindy was a fool. I would have been doing everything in my power to make my idiot sister break off her affair, or just tell op what was going on. No way would I risk my free ride to med school. The moral of the story for me, time after time, is don't protect or defend cheaters. That's one of the worst betrayals imaginable. Cindy is getting exactly what she deserves. I've been with my fiancé for 7 years now and I have 2 sons from a previous relationship. They're a tween and a pre-tween. Their father stopped taking them in 2020 for reasons unknown and around. Maybe a year ago this started happening. My fiancé overrules me. A few times I've told the boys they can do something or have something, like one of my personal snacks, and he will overrule me. If the boys say, "Mom said I could," he's said about 3 times now, well I said no. I ended up sitting down and communicating that I was 100% not okay with that. It led to a fight about 6 or so months ago, and things got better after that. However, 2 days ago, I told my oldest that he didn't need snow pants on when he went outside because he wasn't playing in the snow. He was just waiting for his friend's mom to pick him up. So we were all just standing outside. My fiancé told him to put his snow pants on because he briefly stepped in the snow to grab a stick. My son said, "Mom told me I didn't need my snow pants on." And my fiancé then said, "Well, let's add to that and go get your snow pants on. You're going to need them anyways to hang outside with your friends. So just go get them on now with an attitude." As my son was walking off, he said, "I was listening to my mother. He absolutely had an attitude about it because he was right. I told him he didn't need them." So I told my fiancé, I just told him he didn't need his snow pants. My fiancé ignored me. He ignored what I said, but didn't respond. About a minute later, he followed my son back into the house under the guise of getting a cigarette. My son comes out and tells me. He just followed me in there to tell me if I ever talk to him like that again, then I will be grounded. After he left, I pulled my fiancé aside and told him that I couldn't trust him around my kids anymore. His following my son inside to corner him with a "don't speak to me like that, or you will be grounded" talk doesn't sit well with me. Especially when he was told multiple times that I was the one who told him he didn't need his snow pants regardless. So he should have backed off after realizing that I'd already made that decision. But instead he acted like he needed that control and had the final say. He's basically saying that I'm being ridiculous. He's been around for 7 years, and he's never done anything that would warrant me not trusting him around my kids. I should see that he's just being a parent. He's texting saying it wasn't a big deal, that he wanted my son to put his snow pants on, and that I have been known to overreact so he isn't surprised. Am I overreacting? Because a part of me is uncomfortable with this whole interaction and him feeling like he can overrule me at all. It feels very controlling. This is bad parenting, and he doesn't even have standing as a parent. You talk to one another without the child present to get to an agreement. You don't overrule the other right in front of the child and then issue secret threats without the other parent knowing. I think you're right to be concerned, and I think you are not the idiot. Don't marry this man. Yeah, lose this guy. He's not the one. He followed your son into the house and threatened him, and then proceeded to gaslight you by basically using the trope that women are too emotional. Listen to your gut. It's telling you what the rest of us can already see. Break it off with this controlling idiot. If you don't, he will believe it's okay to keep up this controlling behavior, and soon he'll be telling you what you can or cannot do. I'm a 23-year-old female. My dad has fat-shamed me my whole life. His words used to hurt me a lot as a kid and a teenage girl, and they never once encouraged me to lose weight. Ironically, they made me turn to food even more for comfort. I have a little sister, she's a tween. I don't live at home anymore, so I don't know if my dad has ever mentioned weight to her, unless he was making a comment about me in front of her. I was visiting for a bit. I only regularly visit for my little sister. If it weren't for her, I'd never go to that house again, Mao. And we watched a movie together. My sister was sitting on the sofa between my dad and me, a little bit into the movie, while we were eating some small snacks. He randomly put his hand on my sister's thigh and said some stupid crap along the lines of, "See that jiggle? You need to start watching what you eat, sweetheart." I wanted to throw something at him. I was so unbelievably mad. It's one thing for him to say crap like that to me, a grown adult who is used to his comments and jabs, and has formed somewhat of a force field against them in all the years he's done this to me. But to my little sister? A little girl? My little sister didn't say anything, but I could see by the look on her face that she felt awful and uncomfortable. I wondered if he'd said things like this to her in my absence. I know that feeling all too well. And it's 10 times worse when you're a little kid with little to no concept of weight and fatness and diet culture. Some of my core childhood memories are his weight-related comments to me. All I could think was, how dare he say that to her? How dare he try to plant these insecurities in her at such a young age? I waited until later when we were alone and my little sister was upstairs in her room, and I just blew up at my dad, called him an idiot, and told him he should be ashamed of himself for trying to destroy my sister's self-esteem and self-worth the way he destroyed mine. I told him that the only reason I haven't completely cut him off is because of my little sister. But now I will not hesitate to cut him off, and instead resort to spending time with my sister outside of his home, without seeing him ever. He called me disrespectful, a disgrace, a poor excuse for a daughter who dares to speak to her father in this way, etc., etc., etc. But I was too angry to care at that moment. I just left to go back to my apartment. It's been a day and a half. I've been bombarded with messages from my mother, aunts, cousins, etc., all telling me that Dad informed them of what happened and that I should apologize for how awful I was. Did I overreact? Am I the idiot? Dad informed them of what happened and that I should apologize for how awful I was. Little baby tattled to mummy because he couldn't handle criticism from his child. The fact that so many turned against you in such a short time shows that he treats everyone this way. Everyone. They're all terrified of him, and they would rather perpetuate his abuse than challenge it. Not the idiot. 1,000 times. I hope you're able to provide a safe haven for your sister when they drive her into mental illness. You should blast your mom and aunts and cousins for supporting and enabling such a waste of flesh as your father. I need to apologize to you and your little sister for supporting such depravity. The only thing wrong you did here is not calling him out in front of your kid sister, so she understands your dad was an idiot. This is as much mom's fault as it is his for condoning this behavior. Since she knew about it and still let him near the second child after doing this to the first, that's on her too, much less asking for apologies for him. Before my 18 male brother 19 went to uni, we had a massive argument. I just discovered that he slept with my now ex-girlfriend. She confessed to him, which led to me breaking up with her. He claimed it was a one-time mistake and meant nothing, but I still told him I never wanted to see him again. He lives without mom while I live with dad. Later that day, mom visited. She said that he had pent up anger and then unleashed it at uni, where he kicked a campus cat. That led him to getting punched by someone who studies at the same faculty. She then told me that I should visit, adding that it was my fault. At that point, I just laughed. It was an incredulous laughter, rather than one born out of amusement. Mom narrowed her eyes at me and said that I shouldn't be indifferent to her feelings. Am I the idiot for laughing when my mom said it's my fault my brother got punched? Your mom is a clown, dude. I'm sorry. I too laughed while reading this. He slept with your girlfriend, and you told him you wanted nothing more to do with him. He then went and kicked a defenseless cat in anger, which resulted in him getting punched. It's nobody's fault but his. Your brother is a narcissist, and your mom enables him and is one of his flying monkeys. How do I know? When he told you, it wasn't a big deal that he slept with your girlfriend. The brother is a clown, the mother is the toots and horns. And when I read Campus Cat, I thought this wasn't just some stray he came across. This was one of those cats mentioned during orientation, and if you're traveling along this path, you may see the beloved Mr. Budos Fred. Our unofficial mascot and good luck charm. He's been living here on campus for over a decade, sitting in on classes, and probably hanging around the cafe waiting for handouts. And this is the cat this D-bag decided to kick, probably lucky to get out in one piece. Gee, I wonder which child is favored because he runs to mommy with his problems. Definitely, you are not the idiot. Update, I sent her the following text. All right, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I held him accountable for what he did. And I'm also sorry that that guy at his uni also held him accountable. Thanks for listening.